This took me literally no time to break down at all. The worst was the 3rd gen, 1st gen remakes. Why? Because 4th gen didn't exist, and therefore, Shinx wasn't able to make a debut yet. So clearly, the games were awful. Sorry, I don't make the rules. That's Shinx's job. Why, hello there! What's going on, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So I'm sure that most of you already know how this works by now. I got a couple of things to say, but if you don't want to hear those extra things and skip right to the main point of the video, timestamps are right down below for you. Don't even worry about it, homie, I got you. So I'm sure that you've seen the title of the video and everything, and you know exactly what we're going to be talking about. However, I'll be completely honest with y'all, I was a little skeptical about making this video at first. I was thinking about how I would script this one out because frankly, if I were to do it like that in my usual way, this would end up being a very long video. And I'm talking like longer than my usual long, like absurdly, unnecessarily long. We don't need all that. I think our usual time limit is just fine. But I was like, okay, what am I gonna do about that? Turns out that my best solution was actually turning the mic over to you guys for this one. As per usual, I started up my little poll last week or so, and you guys came through like always. I love y'all, man. Y'all gave me some very valid responses talking about all of your opinions regarding every remake that we've had up to date, and honestly, I can't wait to respond to these right now. I think it's gonna be fun. Speaking of fun videos, you guys definitely helped greenlight this other mini-series that I wanted to work on the channel when it came to previous generations. For anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, in the previous video we talked about whether or not Pokemon Sword and Shield was really as bad as everybody remembered. I'm not gonna spoil the overall verdict if you want to go check that video out, but the main point of it is, a lot of you guys were definitely okay with me doing this with other Pokemon games. So while we wait on these remakes in Pokemon Legends, we're definitely gonna be taking a stroll down memory lane and talking about these previous games and really sitting down and thinking about if they were as good or as bad as we remember. So thank you guys again with your support on that one. I think we're gonna have a good time. Moving along here, the last thing that I need to say is that I really enjoy doing these response videos. So, for those of you that are new, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so that when I put a poll out on YouTube, you don't miss your chance to put a reply down and get featured in the next response video. Most, if not all of us here are Pokemon fans, so I'm sure that a lot of us have very differing opinions when it comes to the series. I'm sure that you have a lot to say about that, don't you? Don't miss your chance to voice that. But anyhow, that just about does it for my extra thoughts. Why don't we start diving into the main point of the video? So, like I said earlier, last week I put up a poll asking you guys what you thought was the worst set of remakes in Pokemon so far. So weirdly enough, me personally, I probably couldn't give you an answer on that if you asked me directly. I've thought about this one a lot, believe it or not. Each generation has something that I like and something that I heavily dislike. No game is perfect. Speaking of definitely far from perfect games, I saw that a lot of you guys were giving early opinions when it came to the 4th gen remakes. Now, it is kinda early to be talking about the 4th gen remakes since we don't even have them yet and they're still in mid-production, so we have no idea what the game is gonna look like and what it's gonna contain. Or at least not at this point in time. However, Pokemon has been very quiet and those games are getting kinda close, so I thought it was pretty valid to go ahead and voice your opinions on that anyway. But alright, I think that finally just about does it for me. I'ma stop talking about my thoughts, let's talk about your thoughts. What did you guys think was the worst set of remakes in the Pokemon series so far? Let's see what y'all had to say. We're gonna go ahead and kick things off with Colin Hawks, who says, "Let's go," followed by the new 4th gen remakes given what we know so far. It's so funny, yet again I have somehow managed to forget about Pokemon Let's Go. Because by technicality, those do count as 1st gen remakes. But again, that game sits in its own weird little limbo situation because of how it was made. It only had the first 151 Pokemon plus Meltan and Melmetal if you want to count them. Every possible mechanic you could think of was simplified to hell and back, and instead of battling with wild Pokemon, all you did was catch them. That was debatably one of the weirdest Pokemon experiences in the mainline games that we've had to date. So I guess if we're really putting them side by side, then I guess I could see why you would think that just below Let's Go would be the 4th gen remakes. Again, it's still early, but at the very least, At least the 4th gen remakes have a solid foundation for a decent basic Pokemon game. Let's Go just kinda crapped all over that, for fun. What a weird time. Anyway, moving along here. Young homie Danny Luxray says, ORAS is actually the best remake, but that's a different conversation. Would it not be this current conversation that we're having right now? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, you tell me, B. Anyhow, I've actually seen a ton of love for Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, especially within these last couple years. I guess when you have a lot of mid-Pokemon games afterwards, it's kind of easy to reminisce, really look back and see, oh yeah, they put a lot of love, care, and effort into those remakes. I played the hell out of 3rd gen back in the day, so I was crazy excited for ORAS, and when we finally got it, I personally had a good time. I really don't understand the hate for ORAS, I never really have. The Too Much Water review was one of the best memes to come out of that generation. How could anybody really be upset about that? At the end of the day, I think that Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was just one of those things that had to cook for everybody for a little while. Every Pokemon game that's initially released gets a ton of flame. But then after a couple months to about a year or so, you get this itch to come back to that game, and then you really start to remember what the good things about that game were. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are a prime case of that exact situation. The most hate that game got was when it was first released. After that, everybody loved it again. But again, I think it's very easy to say that, especially when you look at Pokemon Let's Go and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But hey, maybe that didn't change it for some of you. I have no idea, but we should probably move on. So next up, I'm gonna be hitting up a couple of these big paragraph ones. Y'all gave me some essays yet again, but I don't want to skip out on you just because you guys gave me a lot of opinions. That's good, so why don't we actually tackle some of these bigger ones? For the sake of time though, I am gonna shorten them just a little bit, so bear with me. Next, we have Sharpshooter Zigbar, who says, damn, all this hate towards ORAS just for not having the Battle Frontier? Fire Red Leaf Green is by far the worst remake. If you had a Golbat that wanted to evolve into a Crobat and you didn't finish the post-game, every time that Golbat leveled up, it would take you to the evolution screen and not allow you to evolve it. What a crappy addition! And you couldn't trade over anything until after the Sevi Islands. I like the Sevi Islands the first time around, but it gets really annoying when you have to restart the game and just want to transfer your Pokemon. So in your situation here, it seems like one of the biggest problems was simply the national dex. More specifically, how strict they were when it came to evolving your Pokemon without the national dex. Now they've definitely come a long way since then, because I'm sure that logically, they have definitely come to understand that it should not hinder a Pokemon from evolving even if you can't register their information in the Pokédex. That doesn't make any sense. However though, you've made it very clear that it was also very frustrating not being able to transfer your Pokemon over until after that point. But again, I feel like that was just their way of trying not to make you overpowered so that when you first start up the game, you don't just have all of your previous Pokemon ready to clap the entire region. Especially because, in the grand scheme of things, Kanto is not very big. If you were to go straight through, you could probably clean house in about a day or two, if that. So at the time, I guess they just figured that it wouldn't be that much of a hassle or a hurdle to get through all of that stuff so that you could have access to your previous Pokemon. You said here that you feel that not enough people know about Fire Red Leaf Green's glaring flaws and decide to hide it under a rug. However, I kinda gotta disagree with you there. I think that people definitely notice the flaws, but they give it the benefit of the doubt because it's the first set of remakes. Like I said in one of my previous videos recently, you have to fail to learn, and there's some things that they absolutely definitely failed on when it came to Fire Red and Leaf Green, but they had to take those L's and learn from them so that future remakes like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Omega Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire could learn from those mistakes. We don't need the national dex to evolve our Pokemon anymore, and we did not have to wait nearly as long in these current games to be able to transfer our Pokemon over. So I'll say it like this, ORAS is definitely good, but it had to start from somewhere, you know? Next up here, we actually have two very similar replies, starting with Do I Have 226, who says, I would say I like most of the remakes the same if not more than the originals. Then we have Ethan Pant, who says, the remakes have been pretty good, all of them, not gonna lie. This right here is some of the refreshing positivity that we really need in this community sometimes. While yes, these games definitely have their huge flaws and problems, we still had a good time because they were good fun remakes that were accessible to everybody at the time. We can appreciate what they attempted to do, which was make them better than their originals, and 9 times out of 10 they pretty much succeeded in doing just that. Or at least in my personal case, I appreciate them. I'll say it like this, I don't see myself playing the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green anytime soon because I don't really feel the need to, thanks to the existence of Fire Red and Leaf Green. But that's just my take on that one. Anyway, we should probably get back to your guys' takes. Next along here, sorry if I butcher your name, we have Tony or Tanya Harrison that says, I wouldn't really say that there's any remakes that I hate. The whole point of a remake is to allow a certain region or game to be accessible through new hardware or graphics. If I had to pick, it would technically be Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Sure, it has some of the best graphics we've had in the series, but the catching mechanic and the rival didn't really sit well with me. But that's just my opinion. Don't even worry about it, buddy. Opinions are all we give around here. You're in the clear. But yeah, you pretty much hit the nail right on the head. Technically speaking, all of these remakes so far have definitely done their jobs. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are debatably the only ones that kind of half-assed it so far. It's the most dulled down version of an official Pokemon game that we've ever seen so far, and this is not a spin-off. This is apparently part of the mainline series, so we kinda have to count it. When you really think about it, at the end of the day, the only thing that Pokemon Let's Go really had going for it was its graphics. Other than that, it was a very weird step backwards. Or maybe sideways, if you want to get weird with it? I don't know. It was just odd all around. It really was, at its core, just a time waster game. So honestly, if people want to say this one was the worst, honestly, I might be compelled to agree with you, because I'm kind of starting to lean that way myself. Next along here, we have Riot Kitty who says, oh, that is so hard because honestly, I think that the best Pokemon games have been the remakes. So, I guess I'll go with Heart Gold Soul Silver. The uneven level grind was such a pain. You know, it's very funny, for the longest time, everybody and their mothers would always say that second-gen remakes were probably the best in the series for the longest time. But then all of a sudden, everybody started shifting a little bit. And you know what? I find that funny because I used to be one of those very people. I did a fun little soul link with my friend a couple months ago, and only then did I realize how awkward the level scaling was. Although I really think that was just them having a little bit of trouble trying to fit in 2 regions with almost like 500 plus Pokemon. So in a way, I understand why it ended up happening like that, and I'm not really mad about it or anything, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that it wasn't awkward. The only other problem that I could think of that I have with the second gen remakes is truly the story, because there really was none. However, I'm not going to sit here and blame that on the remakes by themselves. They followed the formula and upgraded it so that it would be more modern. And that's totally fine, they did a great job with that. The atmosphere and graphics were amazing, and that music, mwah, top tier. It's also by technicality some of the most time I've ever spent on any of the remakes, so where Heart Gold Soul Silver lies for me is kind of debatable. We'll have to see about that. Next up, we have Avery Tube Studios, who says, if we're counting Pokemon Let's Go, it's not even close. No one wanted 2 sets of Kanto remakes, one of which being objectively worse than the other. First off, I like your name change, adding the studios? Mwah, good touch. That was a nice one. But also, yeah, I think you're kinda right. I think that a good majority of the hate for Pokemon Let's Go stems from the fact that this is the 3rd time that we've played through first gen. I think everybody's just tired of it. Hell, as a matter of fact, 4 or 5 if you want to count second gen and the remakes. Yes, Kanto was good for its time, it did its job, and it walked so that the rest of the series could run. We appreciate Kanto to hell and back, but we don't want to see it as often as we do anymore. We're so tired of Kanto, bro. The only other time I could imagine another Kanto thing would be acceptable is if we all get that one crazy childhood dream every single one of us had as a kid, where we could travel to every single region at our leisure and explore and catch Pokemon the way we want to. First off, unless one of us is making the fan game or something like that officially is never gonna come in our lifetime. I highly doubt it. But if it does so happen to come, that is probably one of the very few instances that I could think of where we will once again accept Kanto with loving open arms. But overall, it just doesn't need to be bumming around anymore. We're done. Next up, we have Crystal Jefferson, who says, the price tag is the only reason why it's Gen 4 for me. It's not a $60 game. I'm not even gonna attempt to fight you on that one, Chief. That's kinda valid. Now, as we are currently, we have no idea what they're gonna be offering that's gonna make that game worth the full $60. The general consensus right now is that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl look like upscaled ports at the moment. Under normal circumstances, we don't usually pay $60 full for ports. And then in the case of the other remakes, we've never had to pay $60 full. It was always $40. So as of right now, all we know is that we're getting Pokemon Diamond and Pearl on the Switch, and we have to pay $60 to play it in those new graphics that they're showing off. After coming out of Sword and Shield, right now all this looks like to us is a big money move on their part, and when you turn us into walking wallets, that doesn't really make us happy. I'm just really hoping that they show off a lot of new mechanics and quality of life features, as well as after game content that's gonna make everything worth it. As of right now, with what we have to work with, it is very easy to say that it doesn't look like a $60 game, so I can't even argue with you, Chief. But we still got about 4 months, so we'll see how things pan out. Moving right along, we have the EV Squad D who says, "This poll is stupid." I'm laughing right now because you're absolutely right, Chief. This poll is absolutely ridiculous. A week ago, I wanted something to talk about. Looking back on it now, I was like, I probably could have phrased this one a lot better. As of right now, this poll is crazy. I won't fight you on it, guy, but we're just having a little fun around here. Don't even worry about it. And finally, we have Lenny Finch, who says, "ORAS had better features than most of these remakes, but lacked the battle frontier. I can't understand the hate for the game." I have noticed that a lot of people's problems with ORAS was just the fact that it lacked a little bit of aftergame post-Delta episode. I mean, yeah, it does kinda suck that for whatever reason they decided not to bring back the battle frontier, but I don't think by any means that harms the game to a degree that makes them the absolute worst of the series or anything. Looking back, the only thing that I can think of that I didn't really care for too much when it came to that remake is probably the character models as well as some of the music remixes. Like I said, I played a lot of 3rd gen, so a lot of that music hits home for me. In the remakes, I wasn't really feeling a lot of it all that much. It was still good, but it wasn't a banger like it was to me when I was younger. And then the character models, I was never really crazy about when it came to 6th gen in general. They just look really stubby and weird, and their heads are huge. Again though, that was just the look of the time, but I'm not gonna sit here and say that I didn't look back and say, oof. Cause honestly, yeah, those character models just don't do it for me anymore. But a missing battle frontier, that's a very weak reason to say that it was the worst of the remakes. That's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that was what people were hating on so much. So I think that just about wraps it up for this one. I know we're ending this one a little early, even though there were a lot of comments. However, I just didn't want to end up getting a little too repetitive on you guys. I've given my thoughts on these remakes, and you guys have definitely given yours. And you know what? All very valid. I'll be honest with you guys, like I said a minute ago, looking back, I most definitely should not have put Gen 4 on this poll. It is very ridiculous and it's very early. We don't know what to expect yet. It's only because the game is so close and that we don't know what they're giving us to make it worth it that I figured, hey, maybe some people may not be crazy fond about these remakes for some valid reason. But then again, looking at all of it together, no, it's too early. I probably shouldn't have put that on the poll, so I'm not invalidating anybody's opinion. How you feel about those games is how you feel about those games, and that's totally fair. But at the end of the day, we just have to wait and see when those games come out, because we don't know what they're giving us. We don't know what to expect. However, we have learned from the past 2 games that $60 is a very hefty price tag for Pokemon games that are as simple as they are nowadays, so we're just really hoping that it offers something that really adds up to that, you know? But until it's literally in our hands, there's really just not much more to say on that subject, so we'll have to wait and see. So that's probably gonna go ahead and do it for this video. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are for those of you that didn't get to comment your ideas. Did you have a worse remake? Do you think that all of the remakes are perfect and that Gen 4 is going to be just as great, if not better? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, because I'm always down there with you guys. But with that one, I'm gonna skedaddle on out of here and get to a little bit of scripting for that series that you guys greenlighted. I'm excited to work on that one. So, do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this one, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys with that. Thanks again, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.